any computation that is being made. But we have come a long way since then. There are a lot of work, lot of tasks that are performed through computing now. Besides the basic mathematics that it had started initially with. So now there are several types of computing we talk about. There's utility computing, cloud computing. That's a conglomerate of internet-based services that are being given, and there's also called something called grid computing. So basic utility computing is where we their services are offered and like electricity and any kind of services can be offered, and there's a paid that's available at a price. Now here things have changed because these are on-demand services that are available. Now specifically talking about cloud computing, uh, we are talk- we have network hardware and the software available on the internet as the infrastructure, which is the platform for easy availability across the world. Now, internet has been very popular for communication earlier, but it has taken over cloud as the storm to make things easily available. Simply by click of a button, things have been made available. Now, the biggest advantage here in cloud computing is that network based virtual machines, that network hardware, the whole conglomerate of networking, the hardware that runs that is responsible uh, and as the base for computing is available at the click of a button. Simple graphical interfaces are available, which any uh, anybody can learn without knowing having much knowledge about technical knowledge about uh, the platform really or the service that is being offered there. Though there are all kind of services, there are technical services where purely uh, for developers that are available, where the control is given completely to them, so they can actually manage their own infrastructure as uh, as opposed to others who simply want to use them as a service. And then there's a all it's all available on demand. There's a facility to scale up and scale down as per your need. So all these facilities have grown as initially it started with Amazon, and now there are other players also which have picked up. Now, generally, cloud computing covers not only services like we have commonly heard as the SaaS models, where only the software is being shared as an application, which is available for use. Now, that has been extended now, which is available for where you can host your own machines, your own instead of going for a hardware server, a physical hardware server, you can host and your own spin up a virtual machine which is available on a platform. Now, here generally it started with virtualization as the first initially, where you had a common platform, multiple machines available, and there used to be uh, uh, a layer which used to control elements and share resources of that platform and make available uh, facility to spin up virtual machines, each having their own memory, RAM, space, and there used to be a software which used to control all of that and manage that. So all of that has always been building up on that. Now, with that layer present, there are softwares also available where it has extended to infrastructures, the whole infrastructure available being made available, where and as well as platform specific stuff also being available. So they were diversified as per the need uh, of the hour. So they're generally talking about internet, talking about the services offered. Uh, there are basically three services which is classified, where you have the SaaS model, which is the software. You have the PaaS, which is platform as a service, and then there's the infrastructure as a service available. Uh, this simply shows a simple cloud application where you have database storage available, and there's an application running, the servers on which there's a software which is controlling and allocating the amount of memory or the resources that are required. So this is all provisioned by a service provider, like you have Amazon and Azure, the multiple other like DigitalOcean, Linode. There are so many service providers available who all provide such infrastructure depending upon the need. So these are the two models that I was talking about, where the PaaS, SaaS, and SaaS and IaaS. So these are the deployment model and the service model. So service model can arguably talks about the SaaS, which is the software. And so talking about deployment models, we have typically the public cloud and the private cloud, and then there is a community cloud, which is a mix of sorry, hybrid cloud, which is a mix of private and public. Public cloud is generally something that is available publicly. Private is something that is available to an organization. So these are basic classifications of the deployment models that we have. And hybrid is obviously a mix of private and public, depending upon the area that is accessible publicly, and there are certain area which is only available within that available within the private uh, access. So that is the and community is obviously the organization. So that is what it talks about among the various type of clouds available. There's just a very basic classification that we have done here. Like our system, the cloud that we are using, it's like an organization uh, which is a private cloud, because the kind of setup that is there, it is the resources available within our cloud setup is not accessible outside unless you are connecting through a VPN, which VPN is an accessibility authentication to facility where whoever has got access, only those certain people are available, are able to access. So that's like a private cloud that we have, and it's secured within the organization availability. Public is obviously like emails and stuff like that, which is common and available to the public, general public. And we talked about the deployment models. Here we have a service model where, again, like I said, there are three parts to it, where infrastructure as a service is offered, then there's a platform as a service that is offered, and there's software. Now, you would be able to understand much better if we give it some examples. Like software as a service is simply a software that is being is available for use to a customer uh, on a paid basis, and he or she can utilize that. Something like the Dropbox, you purchase a get an account there, you utilize it. You don't have to bother about maintaining the application or the service infrastructure. You simply have to get an account and you can use it. So Dropbox is one example. You can have a big commerce that, again, you have to you can get an account, you can use that service there. Similarly, like you have talked about SaaS, there's a platform as a service model where like infrastructure as a service is a full infrastructure available where like Azure and AWS, DigitalOcean, these are all full platforms where you can build your own stuff A to Z, from virtual machines to different services that are available there. Platform as a service has got a limited amount is available. Like you have AWS, Beanstalk, Heroku, Google App Engine. So there's limited stuff available, but it's within a closed environment. So that again you can use uh, where you need specifically those resources uh, available instead of managing the whole service. So you can have a partially managed or a fully managed service as well. So within PaaS, you would have usually uh, uh, within PaaS you would usually have the people who will be coming in who would be having wanting full control or partial control. So depending upon their need, they can actually start using that and keep the platform configured there for their own use. So like the definition here also says means the hardware and application software platform provided and managed by an outside cloud service provider. So this is not the complete, but this is a closed uh, resource. Multiple resources are available through which you can actually spin up your own, create a very small cloud on your own for your own organization or a setup. SaaS we've already talked about, which is more of a software that is being provided as a service to people. Now it is next we would like to we'll go over why is there need to adopt cloud architecture. Okay. One is obviously the accessibility and the availability of all that was physically supposed to be all was that was limited to physical resources till now. It is basically been extended to share the resources and in fact kind of not unlimited, yes, to a certain limit, extend the limitation that were earlier imposed by physical resources of RAM, memory, and physical storage spaces. That again has been extended by use of cloud computing and making it available across the globe. So the limitation is not there of a physical machine, and one doesn't have to bother about the infrastructure really. Earlier, if there used to be a RAM that has gone bad, you had to call up and get the RAM replaced and shut down the machine and all of that. So now that all you don't have to worry about, you things have changed. So uh, where it is available, you can actually shut down and increase the resources by the click of a button. Uh, so that's why people are actually moving on to cloud, and obviously on-demand services are available, so you can actually manage. So if you have a campaign running, you can actually pull up the resources and for that period of time and then probably pull it down during for normal functioning. So that facility is there. There are simple stuff like shutting down the machines which are of particular use only for particular time or a particular task is being performed. You can actually have those machines turn on and turn off through a schedule. So only you're paying for what you are actually using. You don't have need to have the machine running all the time. So these are basic stuff that people have been started using, utilizing the cloud architecture. And there's a reliability also, and scalability is the major advantage of this, not limiting to physical resources. So these are some examples that we talk about of the various services that we just discussed. Like Google App Engine is again coming into this PaaS platform. Force.com, Heroku again, all of these. Now, there's certain service layers that are there available in cloud computing, which is again classified here, which is further grouping PaaS and SaaS models here. So besides hosting, there is storage, which is supposed to be secure there, and again you can extend it to what as per your needs. So it is not only machines, there are a lot of storage that is available, extended storage that is available. You want to store there. So things are actually again gone moving online. So that's the need of the storage being available. So cloud characteristics is what we would like to talk about, where we talked about the need to know is not really needed. There is no need to know. You don't need to know the underlying details, what is running, how is it running. You just need to configure, set up what you actually need, the resources that are required. And again, as we talked about it earlier, you simply pay as much as you need. The use, the amount, you use, and you pay for the resources that you are actually utilizing. You can actually control the resources that you are putting in to run the application. And generally, these are pretty transparent. The billing stuff is all is available for you to track, and there's an advantage for uh, the extendability is there because uh, because of the scalability that is available on this platform. So effectively, when we move on to such kind of a platform, because earlier we used to have physical servers that were primarily being worked upon, they were dependent on that physical devices. So that infrastructure maintenance has gone out of our control, and we don't need to worry about it anyway. So we just directly use the service that is available. So these virtual machines, earlier it used to be working on a single physical machine, and there used to be multiple vertical virtual machines coming up there. Now that botheration has left us, and it's no more required to be bothered by us. So that is something taken care of by the infrastructure of the service provider. So this is just an example that shows where you have the hardware, and then there's a virtual machine monitor, which is the software that we are talking about, which actually allocates resources to different VMs, as many VMs you would like to run, and depending on the resources available and the limitation of the hardware. This is just an example of running multiple VMs on a single physical machine. Then there comes the purpose and benefits of cloud computing. This again is kind of getting into the same talk of enabling companies and applications which are system and infrastructure dependent to be infrastructure less, where we talk you don't really have to bother about the infrastructure per se, and there are facilities like Lambda on AWS, which is a serverless architecture where you don't have to worry about these resources management. You simply have to choose the right level of resources required and accordingly run the job. So they are queuing services, and their uh, serverless architecture is available where you don't have to bother about the underlying architecture. And again, as he says, you have to pay as you use it, and things are available on demand most of the time. Obviously, there are resources available uh, within different regions, but that will always be there. But yes, generally on demand or things are made available, and in case there is a requirement, there is a need, you can put in a ticket and add simply those resources for making available. which is again easily available through a ticketing system that is available with these service providers. Now talking about what is really important, why this has actually come up, and what is the reliability factor there of utilizing cloud computing. Why should one really move to cloud? They are basically sorry, they basically talked about again since they are service providers, it is available and maintained across the globe. So you don't really have to. There is a rapid scalability, and costs are again based on what you are using. So if there is a certain period of time where you have increased the resources, you pay for it, and you can actually reduce it, and you pay only for that. So there are instances available for uh, you can reserve instances also, or you can simply use on-demand services. So there are two ways of managing. So if you are making use of the infrastructure for a long time, you can actually reserve the instance for a longer period of time. So it's like doing a like we do a take a a year's subscription. It's like a something similar. Now talking about opportunities and challenges, simply we talk about we have it enables services to be used without any understanding, which is the primary advantage here. You don't have to know the underlying infrastructure and how it is managed there. Plus the uh, cost is all controlled. You can actually there's a price calculator available. You can use you can get an idea of the budget that you are willing to put in. You have, and you can actually calculate, have an idea of how much would that serve uh, at the end of these billing cycles. So again, all that facilities are available so that people can actually plan their uh, month ahead and plan the billing according to their budgets. So it's more of a the primary importance of primary advantage of uh, cloud computing is that there are few you don't really have to bother about performance of individual computers or hardware machines. Um, the infrastructure is again managed by the service provider. So so there is the physical memory, and the memory that we talk about here is would be a bit different, but yes, it is available and scalable. So you can have that. You can add more resources to your architecture and then utilize it for faster performance. Then again, so that is as far as scalability and underlying without running the show without knowing what is running underneath. Uh, as far as the infrastructure is concerned and who's maintaining it, you simply have to uh, decide on what exactly you need, and you run it exactly as per your choice. Uh, then obviously, like we talked about, budgets of the billing part, that again you can control because you're paying as per the need of the resources that you're using there, and you can actually purchase and increase as much as per the need whenever you can upgrade uh, the resources and utilize the services as needed. Plus, you don't really have to bother the about the infrastructure. When I talk about infrastructure, it also includes the software updates that are that are generally you have to be managed. You need to put have a technical resource available for upgrading it and putting security patches and all of that. So all of that efforts that goes into maintaining the software and the hardware are you're free of that. So all of that is just a very it's a big add-on to uh, the area which you don't really have to worry about. You really have to worry about, or rather focus on what you need out of that, and the resources that you are primarily looking for. So plus obviously, since it is a extended service platform, so there is there are features added on for reliability as well. So there is a backup system that is available. You can set up a backup, and you can have restored backups through uh, the backups that are available. And so you don't really bother about losing a hard disk, unless you don't have a backup obviously configured. But yes, uh, you can actually move away, and you can configure as per your requirement. Now again, this is just being talked about universal document access. The availability of storage is what we are talking about. So documents are available across the board online. So it's available online. So these are all just simple examples of talk when specific about data. And then there is easier, obviously, since the data is available online, so the collaboration uh, across the world is easier. Sharing up, is it's become easy for people across, and across time zones available. So easily uh, facility to share and screen share and all that facilities available. So these are all making it uh, things of making the availability easier for uh, people working across time zones of different cities or across the country. So, and plus, since these this is an infrastructure which is device independent, which you don't really have to worry about accessing from which a device or platform. These have been made extended across the board. Now, it's again an extension of the same thing that we have talked about, which is more of a repetition here, which says collaboration offers better collaboration and connectivity. The cloud computing offers that we just talked about. So here the advantage is that small and medium businesses don't really have to own infrastructure and maintain it on their own, and simply have to opt and subscribe to one of the cloud computing, and then utilize their services without having to bother about the cost and the know-how to manage all of that. So like with the survey, it says it's about 49% of lower costs for the top reason that made them move. The reason for people moving up is has been availability plus the costs come down. Like for any platform, there is a need for reliability that is required, which is why it talks about data that is stored. It has to be available securely, and there's a backup reliability that needs to be there. So since this is we are talking about corporations utilizing and storing data, uh, which is critical. So obviously there is a need to have backup and security in place. So these are the advantages why of having of utilizing the infrastructure, because they are also providing such secure uh, platforms there for storage and accessibility, limiting, which we like talked about private cloud and public cloud. So when it is private, when it is limited to an organization, it's not available outside it to anybody. Again, we're talking about the future. It's primarily it is being loosely grouped together under cloud. Like we talked, I mentioned about grid computing here initially. Grid computing is like we have infrastructure, virtual machines available in one place. In grid computing, it talks about making the infrastructure available uh, through machines available in different locations. So it's like a distributed computing that is still into work, and it's a different ball game there. So all the clustering that is a facility that is available in open source systems, you can obviously install and set up uh, on your own there. The that is the facility why it is being moved. People are moving on to cloud, and slowly most of them have actually transferred their infrastructure from physical hosting machines to a cloud setup. So we generally talked about mostly the need and the advantages there. If there's anything that you'd like to discuss, have questions for you, open to go ahead. I'll try to answer whatever best I can, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Hemant.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes, sir.
thank you. And to start with, it was a beautiful presentation, and it was very insightful to start with. My question is, I run my entire business on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and I have most of the add-on services like SMS gateway, email marketing. Everything is on Amazon. So what happens is, whenever there is a downtime, if at all happens, the entire services stops. Right
Mm-hmm.
from sending out newsletters, SMS gateway, so everything stops. I use Amazon SNS for SMS gateway,
Mm-hmm.
and SES for the email marketing.
Email marketing. Right.
So, everything gets goes for a toss if there is a downtime. So, is it wise to continue in that fashion, or should I look for other options and just have the site and the application on the Amazon?
See, typically having distributed stuff is a good idea where like mailing services that you can take specifically from uh, MailChimp and all of them. SNS is generally a reliable stuff here because the work-wise, the interoperability is easier. So this is one of the case one time once one time that you may face, but it's definitely easier to manage through having them on the one on single platform there itself. So it is better if it is cost effective as well. I think this is just a one-off case where which with that failure may happen anywhere for that matter, but the support that would be available would be much better as opposed to a service provider.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shankar.
Anyone else? You can ask your queries if you have any. Okay. I,
Just wanted to
okay.
thank
Thank.
you. Despite having a bad throat, you still ran through this. So thank you so much for doing this.
Uh, it's always nice to talk to everybody. I think we should have this off and on. Anybody can. In fact, I would like people to come up and make short presentations like this so that everybody gets the confidence of talking about the new technologies uh, once in a while at least, or whatever they know, whatever they learn. I think.
Okay. So I would like to ask one thing. Uh,
Yeah.
I would like to know about and understand about CloudWatch.
hmm See, CloudWatch, sorry, CloudWatch is basically for cloud for monitoring purposes. So you have set up there, like we have otherwise, like the downtime, uptime, and health of the applications, you can configure CloudWatch for that. So you get notifications regarding the health of the resources that you are utilizing there, uh, uh, by way of SMS or by emails. So that is the use of CloudWatch there.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, I think we are done here. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. That was very insightful. Being an eye when it comes to cloud, now I know and understand cloud is ruling and will rule the tech world. And yeah, thank you for the presentation, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time as well.